Good evening, HyddenWell Farms. It's good to see everybody out here on this beautiful Friday evening. Thank you for joining me for our Friday night reflections. Probably not my most popular videos, but I do enjoy spending this time with you, and I hope that something is said or done that's been a blessing unto you over the past few weeks. I plan on doing Friday night reflections for a while, and maybe you want to invite somebody to come along and be with us, and that'd be fine too. You can't go wrong when you're reading the Word of God, especially the book of Proverbs. It's got a lot of wisdom in it. I run across chapter 18 of Proverbs in verse number 15. The heart of the prudent getteth knowledge, and the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge. You know, in veterinary practice, something that I do, I think is a lost art form, is a physical exam. And one of my professors in rotations, he said that a physical exam is the most important thing that you can do for an animal. And he went through how to do a really, really good, not only a really good, but also a thorough physical exam. And I wish I could remember that professor's name right now, but we started with the dog, and he said it doesn't matter whether you start on the front end or the south end, but just do it the same as you can every time, and go systematically through the dog and look at everything, and ask questions as you're looking at the animal. And so I remember not too long ago, I had a client that come in to the clinic, and they had been to two other veterinarians. I'm not saying they didn't do a really good job with the physical exam. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is the dog had been sick for about a week, and I was the third veterinarian that had come to. And they had given it stuff to make it not vomit. They had given it stuff to help it get over a GI upset, an infection, had put it on antibiotics. They'd given it some shots to make it feel better because it was running a low-grade fever on these other things. But as this little lab puppy was there in the hospital, I began to listen to the owner. And as they began to describe, I kept going back. I said, well, what have you changed the food? Have you changed this? Have you changed that? And as they began to talk, they went all the way back to about 10 to 14 days earlier. And about that time, I had squeezed the dog's stomach, and I could almost feel something there. I was in the belly between the ribs and the hips, and I was palpating through there, and I got up toward the front of it. I thought I could feel something. But the owner kept telling me about how that this little dog, they had these scooter things. They were like leather attachments that you would put on the bottom of your chairs in your hardwood room or your table. And when you scooted them, they wouldn't scuff the floor. And he kept telling me that there was one of those missing in the house. And so I kept looking and looking and looking, and I just wasn't sure. But I heard him say this, and I looked at him and said, you know, you've done this, you've tried this treatment, and nothing's working, and your dog still seems pretty healthy, but you have this issue of vomiting. Just from what you've told me, I think there's something in the stomach. I don't know what else it could be. Now, I didn't get that knowledge from an x-ray. I didn't get it from any diagnostics. I just got it from listening to the owner and from a physical exam. And so as I began to talk to the owner says, well, if you want to go in there and take a look, I'm willing to let you do that. And I said, that'd be great. So I took the dog to surgery, and I opened up and I ran the entire intestines and stuff. Didn't find anything. And so I went ahead and I pulled his spleen out and set it on the table, That is a thing. It really is. I pulled his spleen out because the spleen is attached to the stomach, okay? It's got like 4 major arteries and thousands of veins to the greater curvature stomach. I kind of set that out, and I pulled the stomach up, and I started palpating around on the stomach. Palpating means I started feeling around on it, and I didn't find what I was looking for. And I was feeling a little bit depressed about that. I was feeling a little nervous. I was like, well, I went and did surgery on this dog, and I'm not finding anything. And it wasn't a big dog. It's a little dog. But there was something about that physical exam. I knew I had felt something strange. And I still had this history that was nagging at me. And so I made the decision that I would make a small incision in the stomach, about that big, just enough I could get my finger in. And I stuck my finger into his stomach, and sure enough, when I did, there was a plastic something attached to the wall of his stomach. So I made the incision just a little bit bigger, but that little piece of plastic, that very pliable piece of plastic, had been in there so long it had actually adhered itself to the wall of the stomach. And I just gently teased it off, and I kind of grabbed some hemostats and put in there to get a hold of it. And very easily I pulled it out of the stomach, and sure enough, it was that scuff protector from the kitchen, the one that he had been missing. And so I was relieved, but I was also, thankful that I had listened to the owner, and thankful that I had taken just a few moments to listen, because the heart of the prudent getteth knowledge. The heart of the prudent getteth knowledge. Before you speak, before you make a rash decision, before you do this, take some time to listen and to think about it. And the ear of the wise seeketh knowledge. You want to know the hardest thing about seeking knowledge? Is we don't like to be wrong. Because I don't like to be wrong either. Just so happens in this case I was right. I pulled that thing out of there and I showed it to the owner. The dog made a full recovery and is still doing really, really well. So as you go out this weekend, here off Reflections Friday, go ahead and remember that sometimes it's best to listen and to seek out knowledge, and maybe consider we're not always right about things. God bless you. Love you. See you next Friday.